All right, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, teams. Welcome to part 3 of our 2026 Luxury Assessment Framework series. If I may ask everybody to ensure that your microphones are muted for the call. And also wanted to mention that we will be recording this call and posting it on DaVinci next week as well. Okay, perfect.
Thank you.
Oh, it looks like we have some people unmuted. I just went ahead and muted that for everybody. Again, thank you all so much for joining us. If I haven't met you yet, my name is Daniela Delgado. I'm the Senior Manager of Luxury Quality, and I work with Janet Suter to support all of our luxury properties around the globe in our efforts to consistently deliver a luxury experience for all of our guests. And joining me today as your presenters on the call are Nicholas and Ryan from LQA, who are our amazing partners and our knowledge experts on the LQA site, as well as the My LQA app, and they were with us for part 2 as well. And today we're going to focus on part 3, driving performance and leveraging assessments and reports with LQA. And our objectives for today are to ensure that you understand how to identify missed standards and training needs. You also learn how to highlight missed revenue opportunities and a general understanding of brand reporting and trends, benchmarking, and any missed standards on the LQA site. And as for the My LQA app, we want you to understand how to manage the self-assessments on the website, as well as provide an introduction to the My Audit checklist. And of course, we will wrap up with some reminders and a Q&A. So please feel free to add any questions to our Q&A field in the meeting. And before we go into the demos, we've been receiving a lot of questions regarding LQA access. So I wanted to mention that if you submitted the Smartsheet form, your general manager and quality leader or quality champion should have received access to the LQA site via email. And if you are not the GM or quality leader or champion, we ask that you connect with these persons at your hotel for access. If you are the general manager, quality leader, or champion and you did not receive access, you may also use the forgot password field on the LQA site. I'll drop the link to the site and the job aid on how to do so that is posted on DaVinci here in the chat. Or if that did not work, you can also send email to the email address that you see here, copy myself and your content quality leader, and make sure that you include your full hotel name and the MARSHA code. As for the LQA app access, that is in progress if you haven't received it as of today. You should receive access by the end of November. And also you can visit the subscriptions page and select the activate free trial, and Ryan can demonstrate that for us a little bit later. And finally, if you have not received access at all, please feel free to send an email to the info@leadingquality.com, and again, copy your content quality leader and myself, and we'll make sure that you have all of the access that you need. And without further ado, I will go ahead and hand things off to Nicholas.
Thank you so much, Daniela, and good morning, good afternoon, good evening to you all. So as you saw on the agenda there, we're going to be taking a look at some ways that you can identify training needs and having a little bit of a deeper dive into the brand reporting features on the website. So I'm just going to go ahead and share my screen. This is all on a live demo. As per previous calls, if you've been on those, we'll be using a demo site. So this is fictitious information that you're seeing. And here we go. Hopefully you can all see my screen. Okay, and as before, as we've logged in, we land on the hotel dashboard here. And I know we went through this on the previous call, but I just want to re-highlight one feature down here because it's going to lead us into when we talk about missed standards. So we can see the improvement opportunities here. And just to remind you then, this is going to show you your hotel score on the left-hand side. It's going to focus on the 5 most high-frequency standards in the report. They are usually your emotional intelligence standards, like personalizing the interaction using the guest name, as you can see here. This shows you the number of opportunities to meet and how many times you did meet it on the current assessment that you're looking at. And we can click the Simulate Perfect Score to change it to see what would happen if we had met all 14 out of 14 opportunities in this example. And we can see it's 1.5% more on the overall score. So a great way of identifying sort of these high frequency standards that you could be focusing on to make a big impact in terms of your score and your guest service delivery. But from here, we can drill down by clicking onto this link here to visit the Hotel Mist Standards page, or alternatively, we can find the same page on the top menu here. And that's where we're going to go now, to Hotel Mist Standards. Now, I take a moment to walk you through this report. There are a few different parts to it, and it can be a little bit confusing at first glance, but once you get the hang of it, it's fairly straightforward. So what we're going to focus on is these three headings here at the top. We can see opportunities to meet, number missed, and percentage missed, each with 2 columns beneath, latest and prior. So we're going to focus on the latest. The latest means the most recent assessment. And so we can tell here, for example, then that we have 32 opportunities to meet standards in reservations. When I say opportunities to meet, this is a count of all standards that were marked as met and not met. It discounts the not applicable. So it's a little bit different to when you're looking at the report from the hotel assessment summary page, where you're considering also the not applicables. Here we discount them. So 32 standards were available to be met, of which we missed 13 of them, again in the latest column. And then if we look in the latest percentage column, that represents 40.6% miss rate on reservation standards. Now the prior column will look at your previous report once you have 2 assessments on the platform, and that will give you a side-by-side view of the 2 assessments to see whether you've improved or not. And of course you've got that breakdown underneath all of the departments. Now this is interesting, but where I think it gets a lot better is when we scroll through to the next part of this, which is breaking it down at standard level. So here we can see an example. We saw it on the improvements calculator, in fact, as the top standard, personalizing interaction. And likewise, we saw that there were 14 opportunities to meet it. The difference here is we're looking at what was missed as opposed to what was met. So we saw the 4 met on the dashboard, but here we can see the 10 missed of the 14 available, and hence a 71.4% miss rate to this standard. Again, we have a side-by-side comparison to the previous report. So really right down to standard level, we can see where we are improving or not. And you can scroll through all the standards or search for them indeed here. Where I think this gets even better is once you have multiple reports in the system, because this will then allow you to amalgamate and put them together. And let me show you how we can do that. So up here, we've got a date range feature. If I click on date range, we can see that we could choose, for example, past 2 years. Now, this demo site only has 2 reports in it, both of which occurred within the last 2 years. So what we're going to see is now the prior ones have all dropped to 0 because we have pushed both reports into the date range column. What used to be the latest column is now saying date range. As I say, there's only 2 reports in here, but as you start to have a lot of reports in here, you can push them all in together, and you can see very quickly how at a departmental level how you're doing across the whole date range, or down here at a standard level, exactly which standards are. We see that the personalizing the interaction is still the top standard, or in fact we've got 29, 28, 30 available here, but we missed less of this one, so this is still the standard that we're missing the most. So it lets you hone in onto those standards that you could really be focusing on over a period of time to make a real big difference. Okay, whilst we're on this missed standards page, I'm also going to talk to you about this other part of the report, which is the potential missed revenue. And you can see we get some figures over here in the green boxes. I'll explain how these work. So if we click on to modify assumptions, you're going to see a list of standards here. These are the standards that are classed as as sales opportunities, which is one of the performance classifications. So if you remember on the last call, we looked at the performance classifications on the assessment summary page. That is the 8 buckets that all of our standards fall into one of. So those include emotional intelligence, and one of those classifications is sales opportunities, so an opportunity for the hotel to have increased revenue. Here we can see a default value next to each of these standards. These are values that we've just created to make sure that the report runs immediately, but you can update them to put your own values in here. So the client defined value, just type in whatever you feel is the appropriate value to this standard. When you've added a value, it will overwrite, it will consider your value over the default value. However, if you leave the cell blank, it will use the default value. Then we just need to define a few other fields. We can define which currency we're using. There are up here, and we can say how many rooms our hotel has and what is our occupancy level. So let's choose, just say 60%. Okay, and then we save and close this report up here. Now what that does is it goes through the entire report. In this case, it's actually going through 2 reports because we haven't removed these date range filters. So it's looking at over the last 2 reports, all of the times that those selling standards were marked below. And it will then create a value connected to that from, depending on your client range, value that you filled in, and tell you what that means in terms of revenue lost per day, per month, and over a year. Now, this is a huge figure. Again, we are looking at 2 reports here rather than 1, but even so, so it's a large number. And the reason for that, and it's something just to be mindful of when you're using this tool, is it can be quite a blunt tool because it's looking at the standards and saying you always miss it. So for an example, the barman didn't upsell a second drink. The value might be $10 or $20. To that, but this is going to assume that for every guest that comes into your hotel, you never upsell the drink to that person. So in that sense, it's a little bit of a blunt tool, but it can also be a very motivational tool, and it can be used in training when you're looking at what is the potential maximum impact of you not following these sales opportunities. You also have a column over here on the right-hand side of the departmental report, which shows you the cost per year by department, and again at standard level. So if we were to switch this report here, we're currently filtering to the highest number of missed standards. But if we change it into the performance classifications up here, and now select sales opportunities from this drop down here, you're going to see that it's brought those sales standards to the top, and we can see standard by standard what the overall impact is across the hotel per year. Okay, so that's Miss Standards. Great report for focusing on some training needs and so forth that you can leverage. Okay, moving over to the brand tab. I just want to point out that the brand tab looks very similar to the hotel tab. You have all of the same reports available that you do under the hotel tab. And I'm just going to briefly go through a few of these. So we did the dashboard last time, the hotel dashboard on the last call. But looking here, you'll see the one difference is that there is no hotel name and there is no no dated assessment, over here. This is because we're looking at the entire brand performance. So what this does, this gives you a brand score that allows you to compete at a brand level against other brands. The way that we calculate the brand score is we take the most recent assessment score from each of the properties within that brand and we average it. So it is not a year-on-year result. It is a result based on the last assessment. So it's possible that if you've had a hotel that was not assessed since 2024, that score would still be feeding into this. There is a way to define it to a year, and I'll show you that in a moment. But I just wanted to highlight the difference. So here on the brand page, you've got on the dashboard, you've got all of the same reports that you had at a hotel level. But you will notice, although we only have 2 assessments in this sample page, but you'll see that the numbers are higher in here because everything is going to be counted together within the brand. So if you were St. Regis, for example, you might see several hundred in these figures here because it's looking across the whole brand. I'll drop briefly into assessment summary, which again looks very similar to it as it does on the hotel page, but there is a key difference here that you need to be aware of because it can cause a bit of confusion. Just let that load. There we go. Okay, so here again, we're seeing a departmental score, but we're looking at it from a brand level. So this is all reservations across the brand averaged up. If we click on the department, you're going to see something a little unusual. You'll see that the standard was both met and not met. That's because it's, again, looking across the entire brand, and you've got a count in here. Again, we just have two assessments in here, so you just see 1 and 1, but you could see larger numbers in here, 30 times met and the rest not met and so forth. So it lets you view this at a brand level. Again, if you click onto this, it'll pop up like this, where you can see by met, by not met, or not applicable if that's the case. And you'll be able to open up all of the comments relating to the not met. So you can see across the brand, every time it was not met, what the comment was, which will give you a deeper insight into how the standards are being missed. Moving quickly on to benchmarking, just to show you that the set looks different here. So on the hotel on the hotel benchmarking page, you were looking at hotels within the competitive set here, but here you're looking at brands. So you can see this is a default set that LQA uses, but each of your brands has agreed this at a corporate level, and so you will see the brand set that has been selected for your brand here, and the ability to benchmark in the same way that you do on the hotel report. Lastly, I just want to drop into trends. This is a really versatile report and lets you see all of the scores across your brand, and also kind of to compete, if you like, internally and see exactly where you sit. So again, we've just got 2 hotels here, but you would see all of your hotels listed out within your brand. They would actually be named as well. And you'll see how many visits LQA has made to the property, and in the latest column, their most recent score. In the prior column, you will see a previous score if they've had one, otherwise it will be blank. And then over here in the right, you can see these blue numbers. This is an average of all of the assessments that have taken place, up to 6 that we keep on the platform. And by clicking on that blue link, you can just pop up the date of assessment and the individual scores for that property. Now, if you look at this score here, 83.7, that is in effect your brand score that we saw on the brand dashboard at the top. And I mentioned it is calculated using the most recent assessment from each property. However, you want to date range this, you can. You can select the display filter up here, we can select date range, and we could select just this year. And then this figure at the bottom will represent your annual figure based on all of the assessments that have taken place within the date range. Lastly, just to point out that you can also do this at departmental level and at performance level. So we could select reservations, for example, or we can select performance. You'll see that we then get a second field here. So we could choose those sales opportunities and just in reservations. So this is now showing us that Demo Hotel B scored 100% in reservation sales opportunities, and Hotel A missed all of them. Okay, so you can really drill down to any level that you need to in here. And again, this can be downloaded into Excel if you need to work on it elsewhere. Okay, I think that's probably enough detail on the brand too. Just to point out that you also have missed standards here. So it's exactly the same as we were looking at on the hotel one, but everything at a brand level as well. And on that, I shall hand back briefly to Daniela and stop sharing my screen.
Thank you so much, Nicholas. And we can actually just go right over to Ryan.
Thanks, Daniela. Thanks, Nick. And welcome back, everyone. Thank you for joining. For those first timers on the call today who were not able to make it on one of the calls for part 2, my name is Ryan. I'm the implementation specialist here at LQA for our incredible mobile app, My LQA. As I'm still conducting assessments every now and then, I am going to stay off camera and incognito for our call today, so I hope you don't mind. But before I dive in, I do want to do a quick pulse check to see who has had fun exploring the app or playing with the self-assessment feature since the last session. So go ahead and drop an emoji in the chat or on the screen. I want to see who's been putting the app to the test so far. Hopefully can get a few thumbs up or a heart even, maybe 1, maybe 2. Okay, my friends, we've got a lot of work to do, but in the meantime, I'm going to launch my screen share here. And we'll get started. Just to recap, on the last session, we did talk about self-assessments, how they can be created right in the app, whether it's for a quick spot check or an assigned audit across departments. We looked at the process for tagging colleagues, adding room numbers and outlets, and for adding even photo uploads to individual standards. Today, we're going to take a look at how all of that activity on the app translates right onto the LQA website dashboard, and specifically the self-assessment dashboard here on the website. This is where you can review your performance trends, filter results, and see the bigger picture of your property's progress. A little tongue twister there for you on this Thursday afternoon. On the self-assessment page, so we're on the self-assessments tab under self-assessments, again, looking at our demo hotel here for MyLQA, which we call the Inspectors Inn. This is where we see all of our self-assessments in progress. We can view those assessments. We can take a further look here. I'm going to click on the left-hand column. I can download this assessment to a PDF file by clicking up here. And I see the photos that were uploaded. So for one thing I want to note here, the photos that are going to be uploaded to individual standards on the app, when you view them on the website, they're going to be seen at the top of the page. So on the website, you are not going to be able to see those photos on the individual standards. However, anytime you are viewing that within the app, you will see them uploaded to those individual standards. The other thing I will note is that when you go to print this PDF, the PDF will not contain the photos. So this is just one of the questions that's come up a lot. It is a great feature request, so something that I've put in front of the development team. And anytime you have feedback like that or feature requests, please do feel free to share them. But this is a nice way to view all of those assessments in place. One other thing to note about this page is that only website admins will have access to see all of the self-assessments that are currently in progress or that have been assigned across the property. Otherwise, if you are not a website admin, you are only going to see those self-assessments that have been assigned to you or assigned by you. Okay, next we're going to head back up to the self-assessments and then click on self-assessments trend. Here, by clicking display filter, you can filter these results down by standard, by category, department, performance classification, room number, outlet, etc. You can even filter by those employees that have been tagged. So this is when it comes in handy when you've been tagging those employees on the self-assessments. This is how we're able to see the scores for those specific employees. We can break it down by week, month, year, or even a custom date range here. If you'd like to analyze or share those results, you can export this to a CSV. And finally, on the self-assessments tab, self-assessment summary, this is where you will get a quick snapshot of your scores by section. So based on the filters that you've applied here, again, clicking display filter will give you a little bit more customization options. Coming next year, Q1, so early next year, the moment, of course, we're all excited for, we will be launching an enhanced self-assessment dashboard for even better score tracking and missed standard analysis. So stay tuned. Remember, every self-assessment that we're creating in the app automatically will sync here to your dashboard. The only thing that you can't do from the website is tag users or assign new self-assessments out to different colleagues. Now that's the assigned self-assessment where we're going to take a single self-assessment and break it up over several colleagues. That still happens directly in the app. All right, now time to take a look at another one of the great features inside of MyLQA. This is My Audit. So under the MyLQA tab here, we are going to click on My Audit Checklists. What we'll see as soon as we get to this page is all of the checklists that we're currently working on. So pay attention to this little toggle here at the top. If I click active, it's only going to show me those checklists that are currently active. What My Audit does is it allows you to create custom checklists for anything that you want to maintain compliance with. So from brand level standards to operational details unique to your property, even shift or position specific checklists, or even new hire job task checklists. The My Audit tool is a great tool for that. And the real power here is the flexibility and customization that it allows, because you can create these custom checklists that reflect what really matters most to you and your team. So let's jump in and I just want to show you how easy it is to build and run a My Audit checklist within MyLQA. Before I begin, I will also note that creating My Audit checklists is an admin exclusive feature. So only your website admins will see this in the portal. So some of you might be trying to follow along and you are not seeing all of these options. That is likely because you're not one of the website admins. So remember, only your website admins can create and edit My Audit checklists. Okay, so we're going to start with a new checklist, and we are going to create a new one by clicking Add New Checklist. The checklist name is where it starts. This is actually going to be for the department that you're creating this checklist for, and think about it as a checklist group. Now, this is in the long run, if you're going to create a group of checklists, this is where it will begin. Today, we're going to start with in-room dining, and I'm going to show you how this all kind of plays out, because we're going to look at the two different ways that you can create checklists manually and then by uploading a spreadsheet. So we're going to do two in-room dining checklists today. So we'll start by naming this this checklist in-room dining. A description, not 100% necessary here, but if you do add one, just keep it short and succinct, no more than 20 characters, and this comes down to how it displays across on the app. But we're going to click Generate Checklist here. Now I can start building out different sections. So you can think about sections the same way that you would for your self-assessment, where if you have your main group, which would be front office, the different sections of front office would be check-in, check-out, porter arrival, porter departure. So for in-room dining, the first thing that we're going to do, we're going to build out a checklist in-room dining for menu knowledge. Now, once that section has been added, I can click on it here and then start building out the checklist. There are several options I can choose from here at the top, such as requiring a timestamp, including the name of the outlet or meal period, so great for maybe some other food and beverage checklists, or including the room number, which would be great for anything housekeeping related. Right now, we're just going to use date and time. If I click Add Standards, this is where I can start building them in manually, one at a time. So for the sake of time, I've already kind of got my checklist in mind, and I'm going to just copy them in because I want to show you this manual process. We can add a performance classification here that might tie to, if it's tied to or similar to an LQA standard. So for example, confidently to describe the additions ingredients, we'll talk about menu knowledge. A lot of this is going to be about our confidence in knowledge. So we'll say EI behavioral. And then met, not met, or not applicable. Now this is that score type. This can either be met or not applicable, met or not met. So it's pretty straightforward here. But we want to keep this one met, not applicable. I click Add Question, and there it is. Next question, I'm going to copy in, add standards, rate, and so on and so forth. So you can see how this process works. It's easy to add them manually. If you want to type them in, of course, you can as well. Once those have been added, you can drag and drop them to reorder. So the order that you add them is not final. You can move them around here as you will. So we're just going to save this for now because this is the process for manually adding them. No, it is also very easy and recommended to upload them from an Excel file. And you'll see on this page that this green button here, download sample template. So once you download this template, it is really easy to fill out and then upload. So we're going to create another section of this in-room dining checklist by uploading an Excel. So I'm going to click add a section here. And this is going to be for our in-room dining trolley inspection. So I'm just going to call this in-room dining trolley. Now, before I upload the checklist, before I upload this template, I want to show you how simple the template is. So allow me one moment to bring that screen up. Stand by. Okay, sorry for the delay on that, but here we see the template for our My Audit Checklist upload. Very straightforward, just 3 columns. And in the first column, column A, you're going to have your standard. And the second column, column B, is the performance classification. And that template is built with drop downs already in for the performance classification. And then same thing in column C for the scoring type. The only thing I need to note for you is that this first row does need to remain. So do not delete this first row and make sure there are no spaces in between the rows. So it should look exactly like this. And as long as everything is set up correctly on this template, it uploads really nice and easy. So I'm going to go back to the My Audit dashboard. And we are going to upload that list here. And there it is. So we have all of those standards. They load through really nice and easy. I can still move them around if I want right in this. And then once I feel comfortable, I can click Save. Once we're finished with this checklist, we click Publish. Now, we won't have the checklist active on the app until we publish it. So once you click Publish, you're going to see this alert. And this alert is just letting you know that once this checklist is published, it cannot be edited. So please ensure everything is accurate. And the reason for that is that we want to make sure our data doesn't get skewed, because the more My Audit Checklist that we complete, the more the data is built out in the system. And if we then change that checklist, it will skew the data. So once we publish the checklist, it will be final and it will be visible on the app. So we'll go ahead and pause on that, because we don't have it yet finished for menu knowledge. We still have to make some edits to this menu knowledge, but we will save our progress. I do want to show you one checklist, though, that we are working on, and I want to show you how it imports into the app once finished. So I'm going to go back to the My Audit Checklists, and we are going to go to our Concierge and VIP section right here. So we're looking at our checklists in progress at the moment. I'm going to click Edit, and now I can see I have all 4 different sections for this Concierge and VIP checklist group built out. Everything is ready to go. I'm ready to start using these in the MyLQA app today. So now I can click Publish. Once I click Yes, that checklist will be live. So I'm going to go back to My Audit Checklist. I'm just going to make sure that I see active and published here, and then I go to my active screen, and then here it is, Concierge and VIP group. And now I'm going to show you what it looks like on the app. So bear with me one moment while I pull up the app. Okay, so we're here on the dashboard of the MyLQA app, going to the My Actions Hub, click Create New, create My Audit. And now here we see all of my checklist groups, and especially this Concierge and VIP group that I've just made. And now you can see the way the sections are built out. And this is where I really wanted to highlight how those sections are set up when you build them in the system. So you can think of your checklists as a checklist group when you create them. And then the different sections are the different checklists that you'll have within that group. So let's just say we have a new hire starting. I have my new hire training checklist. This is one of the great uses for the checklist within my audit. And I'm going to assign this out to my concierge manager to complete. So we'll assign this out to Benoit. And the due date will be by the end of next month. We have a long onboarding period here, and this will be new hire. Great. So complete job task checklists for Buck. I can save and assign more. Now, if I want to assign other checklists that are grouped for Buck, I can do that here. Same way as you would for the self-assessment assignments. But for now, since this is just a single new hire checklist, I'm going to click finalize, and I can see that I've assigned this to Benoit, send, and now that is off. Looking at all of the My Audits that you have been assigned will take place in this hub as well. So again, looking at received and sent, just like it works with the self-assessments, I can see what I have been assigned and what I have completed recently. So any of those completed My Audit assessments. You can also do a quick My Audit the same way you can with a self-assessment. So create new My Audit. And let's say I want to do a house car inspection. So under my guest services group, I'm going to do a quick My Audit. And now here I'm right within that My Audit checklist, and I can start filling out the standards or making my markings, uploading photos the same way I would in a self-assessment. Now I'm going to go back to the dashboard one last time. And we're going to look at the My LQA My Audit overview. Because this is where we have everything that's happening. So all of the checklists that are currently in progress, we will see right here. So we'll be able to view anything that's in progress. So I can view that this My Audit checklist that was created. I can see any of the photos that were uploaded and read any of the comments left by the employee. And I can track the progress of everything as it's being completed and see what is still outstanding. You might be wondering if it's possible to run specific reports on the My Audit checklists yet, or if there's a dedicated dashboard for tracking the individual metrics on your checklists. While these features are not live just yet, we do have a lot of exciting enhancements here on the way for early next year. So please stay tuned for those updates to the My Audit checklist dashboard and your self-assessment dashboard. So to wrap it all up, your self-assessment dashboard lets you track your performance trends for all of your self-assessments by filtering those results. And then the My Audit checklist, you can take that even further by creating custom checklists for anything your operations needs. Together, it keeps standards visible daily, helps drive accountability across the team, and makes excellence part of the everyday. So thank you all. I hope you enjoy this, and wish you all the best of luck and have fun playing with My Audit checklist. There's so many different ways that you can use it, and it's only limited by how creative you can be with it. So thanks once again, Daniela. I will hand it back over to you for Q&A.
Thank you so much, Ryan. All right, team. I'm going to share the screen one more time. I'm just going to go through some quick reminders and next steps. We did cover this on our last two calls, but I just wanted to show this again as a refresher. I've highlighted in red some of the changes in dates. For example, access, we discussed that in the beginning of the call, and this is going to be extended through November 30th, so by the end of the month. And then we've also extended the date for selecting the custom LQA comp set. Again, guidance will be given to all of the hotels by your content and quality leaders, and we expect to have this done by mid-December. We will also be adding some office hours and best practices webinars. The links and dates will be posted on the weekly updates that come out every Thursday, so please look out for these, and same as these calls, all of the links will be posted there for you. And wonderful. So I think we have about 20 minutes left on the call. So wanted to allot a little bit more time for Q&A based on our last calls. So I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording here and then start answering some of our Q&A.